recording now. I see a lot of people online. Hare Krishna, everyone. And I'm going to pull out the Bhagavatam online here because we don't have enough books.
What chapter what?
Chapter 9 of Canto 2 and is text 45. Canto 2, chapter 9, text 45. And since I'm going to read it online, I'm going to share it for everyone to see too. Okay.
Somebody else want
Okay.
to read?
We have many people here. In person, we have Elliot, Amber, welcome. Laura, Jeremy, dear Govinda Das, and Ladini, Shakti Devi Dasi, Eze, and Brielle. And then online, we have a lot of people. Online, we have Drew and family, including Prema, and Kara, Lakshmi Priya, and Vishnu. Hello, Vishnu, welcome. I hope you have a good week here with our community. Peal, Narayan is here, and Devan. And Christine, welcome, Christine, Kim, Gary Gajendra, the Mara family, all of them, Anasuya, and Gauda and Damayanti, and Patrick just joined us.
Wow,
Nice.
that's a program.
That's quite a program, yeah. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jaya mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance to Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan, and to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto the author Srila Vyasadeva. So today we are reading from the second canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam have 12 cantos. And it's Srimad Bhagavatam is said to be the book incarnation of Krishna. When Krishna left, like he completed his pastimes on earth 5,000 years ago, what was left was a Srimad Bhagavatam. And by taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, we get to be directly in contact with Krishna. And I have a recent experience of that. Like Krishna is giving me great vacation right now, vacation that I was wishing for so many years. So it's nice. Krishna always fulfills our desire. So I have been on vacation. And because of that spiritual vacation, I get to spend quite a lot of time with Srimad Bhagavatam, which was my desire also, to spend a lot more time in Srimad Bhagavatam. And I can see from the moment I started because there was a period in my journey, my recent journey, where I was in hell. And when I was there, I wasn't capable physically to read. But as soon as I became capable to read, then I started to really absorb myself, Srimad Bhagavatam. And I could see like my consciousness really stepped out of the material condition, of the material context. And my experience of life transformed quite made quite a shift in just a few days. And, of course, we have the 35 years of practice that led me to get that experience maybe quicker. Still, I can really retrace the moment where my consciousness shifted and things became beautiful, like from hell to beautiful, like that. So I said, Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Shaiva Narotamam, that this Srimad Bhagavatam is the very means of conquest. So what's a conquest? The conquest of the material context, because no matter what's happening in our life, we don't have control. We don't have control. We may think that we have control, but nobody here wanted the coronavirus. I imagine most of us didn't want that. We didn't want the restriction of coming to this house with mask. Like I love your smile, Elliot, and I'm thinking, oh wow, I'm going to miss out something with Amber. Where is Amber? Anyway, like that. So none of us wanted that, and still, it's happening. So we can imagine, very easily. Recently, there was Anandini wrote response to our Bhagavad Gita class. We have a Bhagavad Gita class, which is part of our School of Transformative Coaching. And, really showing how all coaching come from Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is a coaching session between the coach, Krishna, and Arjuna being the coachee, person being coached. So recently she spent time in the Alps. And I spent time in the Alps a lot in my childhood. And they're mighty. They are beautiful. They are huge. They are like bringing us to breathlessness. And at the same time, they are very dangerous. It's not something you can just play with. Like the Alps can all of a sudden, a big storm or an avalanche or anything can just crush you to death. And same thing like when I was traveling in my past life, I was traveling a lot, and I crossed the Atlantic Ocean. And in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, it was so difficult to feel in control or to feel puffed up. Like in this chapter of the Bhagavatam, there is like the assurance of Krishna to Lord Brahma, I'm going to protect you. You're not going to become puffed up. Because when we become puffed up, that's where we think we are the controller. And that's when, suffering comes more because we are not in control. So if we think we are the controller and we are not in control, that brings so much frustration. So in the middle of the ocean, it was so easy to feel insignificant, to feel small, to feel like, little waves can top over the boat and, and being a food for shark. So the very midst of conquest is mean like we cannot conquer the material energy by our own effort. It's not going to happen. However, what we can do is cultivate ways to transcend the material energy, to go above the material energy. So Srimad Bhagavatam is one of those ways that for me have been such a shelter and transform from hell to heaven and beyond. So I'm very glad to share today our verse because it's so much in glorification of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'm going to continue and we can do one word at a time in Sanskrit to pronounce them properly. Naradam, Praha, Munaye,
Munaye,
Sarasvatya,
Sarasvatya,
Tate,
Nate,
Nripa,
Ripa,
Dhyayate,
Jayate,
Brahma,
Brahma,
Paramam,
Paramam,
Vyasaya,
Vyasaya,
Amita,
Amita,
Tejase,
Tejase,
Narada Praha Munaye,
Narada Brahma,
Sarasvatya State Nripa,
Sarasvatya Sate Nirpa,
Jayate Brahma Paramam,
Jayate Brahma Paramam,
Vyasaya Amita Tejase,
Vyasayami Tate Jase,
Narada Praha Munaye,
Narada Brahma,
Sarasvatya Tate Nripa,
Sarasvatya Sate Nirpa,
Jayate Brahma Paramam,
Jayate Brahma Paramam,
Vyasaya Mita Tejase,
Vyasayami Tate Jase,
Narada Praha Munaye,
Narada Brahma,
Sarasvatya Tate Nripa,
Sarasvatya Sate Nirpa,
Jayate Brahma Paramam,
Jayate Brahma Paramam,
Vyasaya Mita Tejase,
Vyasayami Tate Jase, Narada Prahamunaye, Narada Prahamunaye, Sarasvatya Sate Nripa, Sarasvatya Sate Nripa, Jayate Brahma Paramam, Jayate Brahma Paramam, Vyasayami Tejase,
Vyasayami Tejase,
Narada Prahamunaye,
Narada Praha Munaye,
Sarasvatya Sate Nripa,
Sarasvatya Sate Nripa,
Jayate Brahma Paramam,
Jayate Brahma Paramam,
Vyasayami Tejase,
Vyasayami Tejase,
Narada Praha Munaye,
Narada Praha Munaye,
Sarasvatya Sate Nripa,
Sarasvatya State Nripa,
Jayate Brahma Parama,
Jayate Brahma Paramam,
Vyasayami Tate Jase,
Vyasayami Tejase. Someone online would like to chant?
Narada Prahamunaye,
Narada Praha Munaye,
Sarasvatya State Nripa,
Sarasvatya State Nripa,
Dhyayate Brahma Paramam,
Jayate Brahma Paramam,
Vyasayami Tejase,
Vyasayami Tejase.
Narada Prahamunaye,
Narada Praha Munaye,
Sarasvatya State Nripa,
Sarasvatya State Nripa,
Jayate Brahma Paramam,
Jayate Brahma Paramam,
Vyasayami Tejase,
Vyasayami Tejase. Thank you. Narada,
Narada,
the great sage Narada,
the great sage Narada,
Praha, instructed
instructed
Munaye,
Munaye,
unto the great sage
unto the great sage,
Sarasvatya
Sarasvatya,
of the river Sarasvati,
of the river Sarasvati,
Tate
Tate,
on the bank,
on the bank,
Nripa,
Ripa,
O king,
O king,
Dhyayate,
Jayate,
unto the meditative,
unto the meditative,
Brahma,
Brahma,
absolute truth,
absolute truth,
Paramam,
Paramam,
the supreme,
the supreme,
Yasaya,
Yasaya,
and to Srila Vyasadeva,
Srila Vyasadeva,
Amita,
Amita,
unlimited,
unlimited,
Tejase,
Tejase,
and to the powerful.
and to the powerful.
Translation. In succession, O king, the great sage Narada instructed Srimad Bhagavatam unto the unlimitedly powerful Vyasadeva, who meditated in devotional service upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, on the bank of the river Sarasvati. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In the 5th chapter of the 1st canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada instructed the great sage Vyasadeva as follows. Ato Mahabhaga Bhava Namo Gadvik Suchi Shavasatya Rato Dritavata Ukamasya Kila Banda Muktaye Samadhina Nus Marata Vishestitam. O greatly fortunate, pious philosopher, your name and fame are universal, and you are fixed in the absolute truth with spotless character and infallible vision. I ask you to meditate upon the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose activities are unparalleled. Oops, I went too far. So in the disciplic succession of the Brahma Sampradaya, the practice of yoga meditation is not neglected. But because the devotees are bhakti yogis, they do not undertake the trouble to meditate upon the impersonal Brahman, as indicated here. They meditate on Brahma Paramam, or the Supreme Brahman. Brahman realization begins from the impersonal effulgence. But by further progress of such meditation, manifestation of the Supreme Soul, Paramatma realization takes place. And progressing further, realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is fixed. Sri Narada Muni, as the spiritual master of Vyasadeva, knew very well the position of Vyasadeva, and thus he certified the quality of Srila Vyasadeva as fixed in the absolute truth with great vow, etc. Narada advised meditation upon the transcendental activities of the Lord. Impersonal Brahman has no activities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has many activities, and all such activities are transcendental without any tinge of material quality. In the activities of the Supreme Brahman, where material activities, in the activities of the Supreme Brahman, if the activities of the Supreme Brahman were material activities, then Narada will not have advised Vyasadeva to meditate upon them. And the Param Brahma is Lord Sri Krishna, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. In the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna realized the factual position of Lord Krishna, he addressed Lord Krishna in the following words. Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavam, Purusham Shasvatam Divyam, Adidevam Ahatvam Rishaya Sarve, Devarshir Naradastata, Asito Devalo Vyasa, Swayam Chaiva Bhavishme. Arjuna summarized the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita by his realization of Lord Krishna and thus said, "My dear personality of Godhead, you are the supreme absolute truth, the original person in the eternal form of bliss and knowledge." And this is confirmed by Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasadeva, and above all, your personal self has also confirmed it. So it's a Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 12 to 13, which is the chapter 10 is a chapter we were just on in our Bhagavad Gita class. When Vyasadeva fixed in the mind in meditation, he did it in Bhakti Yoga trance and actually saw the Supreme Person with Maya, the illusory energy, in contraposition. As we have discussed before, the Lord's Maya or illusion is also a representation because Maya has no existence without the Lord. Darkness is not independent of light. Without light, no one can experience the contraposition of darkness. However, this Maya or illusion cannot overcome the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but stand apart from him, apashrayam. Therefore, perfection of meditation is realization of the personality of Godhead, along with his transcendental activities. Meditation on the impersonal Brahman is a troublesome business for the meditator, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 12:5. Klesho di kataras pesham avyakta shakta shetasam. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Jala Shalakaya Chakshun Militan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Shtapita Yena Bhutale Swayamupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadam Tikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sham Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitaj Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Shah. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tata Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Yari Priye Ansha Kalpa Tarubhyacha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvesesha Shunyavadi Askatya Kinatavidi Mukam Kuroti Vachalam Pangun Langayati Grijim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurum Dinatarini. So without the mercy of Guru and Krishna, there is no way to speak about Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'm praying for the mercy of Guru, Krishna, and all the Vaishnava and everybody here. And yeah, this is so full of a verse and purport, and I'm going to repeat the verse just to put it on our mind very clearly. Okay. So, the verse says, in succession, O king, the great sage Narada instructed Srimad Bhagavatam unto the unlimitedly powerful Vyasadeva, who meditated in devotional service upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, on the bank of the river Sarasvati. So in this part of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and most of the second canto is, starting to understand the disciplic succession, meaning how is transcendental knowledge descending, because transcendental knowledge cannot be ascending, because as human beings we have limited senses, and we can only perceive what's in our scope, the scope of our own senses, and because our senses are limited. Like if we even look in the animals, like if we try to run, for example, then many animals can run a lot faster than we can. Like every time I see dogs, I know that about them. And owls, they can see behind their neck. They turn and they can see behind their neck. And bats, they can see at night. So from that, just from looking at nature, we can understand, in that human form, we have just very limited senses, and what to speak about understanding, the mystical realm and the transcendental realm. That's not even in our purview to do that. So there is no way for us. I'm going to meet someone. There is no way for us really with our limited senses to get knowledge, or even to receive knowledge from someone who hasn't received knowledge in a descending way. Because even if there are people who get some understanding, it's clear that there is genius on earth. Einstein is one of them, and so many genius, and they get understandings, they get revelation, they get knowledge when the Lord decides to. But even Einstein, all of a sudden he could lose his brain. He's not even in control of that. Or any one of us, we can lose an eyes. I'm losing my ears, I think, right now. But so at any point we can. So with our limited little senses and mind and intelligence, it's going to be very difficult to understand something that's beyond our purview. Srila Prabhupada often gives the example of a frog. He said, Dr. Frog. So there's a frog, and the frog lives in a well, in a little well. So the frog knows very well the well. He knows the circumference of the well, the diameter of the well, he knows the water, he knows everything that's happening in the well. And then there is another frog who's just smarter, who is coming inside the well to see Dr. Frog. And he said, oh, Dr. Frog, how are you? And he said, well, yeah. Well, do you know about the ocean? Dr. Frog said, of course I know about the ocean. I'm a doctor. I have PhD, many PhD. I'm a doctor, so I know about the ocean. And say, okay, well, what's the ocean? He said, well, the ocean is something like 3 times bigger than my. The other person say, okay, well, the ocean is bigger than your well, and the person said, no, it's not possible at first. But after he's kind of contemplating, maybe it's 3 times bigger, or maybe it's like 10 times bigger. And of course, Dr. Freud doesn't have the ability in his own perception and knowledge, and no matter how many PhD he has, to understand. I'm not picking on you too, but to understand what is the ocean. What is the ocean? What is the ocean? Because the ocean is so big, so vast, so immeasurable for Dr. Frog, who only knows well. So that's our situation. We are all Dr. Frogs, and we are trying to understand by our own means, by our own senses, by our own knowledge, by our own perception, by the limitation of this little vehicle, some things that's unlimited and unfathomable and unmeasurable. And we are going probably to fail. And Vadanti Tattva Vidasam Tadvayaj Gyanam Advyayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan Iti Shabdyati. So this verse tells us that there is many types of transcendentalists. And the first type of transcendentalist, they aim at understanding Brahman and impersonalist. That's what's explained in this purport. And what is the understanding of Brahman? And like the basic understanding of Brahman is to understand the difference between spirit and matter. That's what it is. And then the understanding of impersonal Brahman is to understand that I'm not this body. I'm not this body. And further than that, see spirituality everywhere. Like I'm not this body, but everything else is not this body. The blade of grass is not this body. The tree is not the tree body. Everything. So through meditation, to impersonal meditation, the transcendentalists, they come to that understanding. They come to that understanding if they are serious. You know, there are so many people who do meditation, but they are really not serious. But like a very serious transcendentalist who takes the time in meditation, who live a sattvic life, clean life from, you know, agitation of the senses, because as long as the senses are agitated, it's really difficult to achieve any kind of realization. So the transcendentalist who can do that, which is not easy. In fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, I said this path is so troublesome. And anyway, the transcendentalists come to that place like, oh, there is a dimension here that have nothing to do with what my eyes can see and what my ears can hear. There's another dimension, and they get in contact with that, like the oneness of everything, the bright light of everything. And I have met many people who have get in contact, you know, transcendentalists that get in contact with that. And then it says in the purport and in this verse, then so Brahmeti Paramatmeti, then by continuing further, the transcendentalist is going to come in contact with something inside, like some localized aspect of that supreme Brahman, like coming from, and we had a nice discussion with Jeremy the last time he came, of like the evolution of meditation. And it seems that's what I'm reading and what's described here of like having that experience of a presence, a deep love, a deep, you know, it can be manifested in so many ways. And the Christian mysticism, I'm reading another book. I'm always parallel in my spiritual life. But in Christian mysticism, there is so much about the super soul, like God in a heart. And in some line of Christianity, they really focus there in contemplation, to be in presence of the Lord in prayer. And that presence of the Lord in prayer is really what's called Paramatma, of really like feeling that presence, feeling loved, feeling that warmth coming all over our body, feeling like, yeah, this place is safe, and I'm cradled. I'm cradled, and I have guidance. I have guidance. If I really listen very carefully, there is no confusion. Life is not confusing. I know what to do, and I know where to go. And I am guided every minute. I may not be paying attention to that guidance, but that guidance is always available. Super Soul is always guiding the wandering of all living entities. So we can really pay attention to our meditation, and we become clear. And during my journey, I had a really beautiful journey lately. You know, recently I was speaking with someone who was telling me, you don't understand, if I do that thing, which is breaking the four regulatory principle, I will get so many realization. And I was thinking, okay, well, yes. Well, if you get cancer, you will get also a lot of realization and a lot of transformation. Why not choosing that? Well, why not? Why not? I mean, if what we want is realization and transformation, well, I can tell you this was like advanced course time 100,000. Advanced course like, or like LSD advanced course, you name it. You have it all in one place. Realization, aha moments, like really getting that this is a place of suffering, this is hell, I want out of here. I don't want to exist, I don't want to live in this body, I want out of it. Anyway, so many realizations. And through this journey, I was fortunate enough, which, you know, a part of me really want to go back because I'm not in touch with that anymore. That intensity that was really bringing so much, you know, revelation and hearing. And at one point, I really got so much along that journey. There was like, I can pinpoint moments in that journey when I got clear. And that clarity was accompanied by a deep sense of peace. And even if my mind was shattering, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. No, that's not who you are. Come on, that's not the kind of decision you will make. Because the mind, you know, identified with that false, you know, identification. It's called false ego. So we have an ego who are identified with this body, this little person, this opinion. You know, how many opinions there is about mask, about the vaccine. But that's who I am. I'm not going to get vaccine. No, that's who I am. I'm going to vaccine. And then God said, go and get vaccinated. But that's not who I am. Come on. We want to fight. That voice usually tells us things we don't want to hear. just how it is. And if somehow or other we listen to that voice, and that, you know, it's like, of course, there's so many voices in the head, so many minds, voice, so-called intuition, so-called whatever. But that voice is different because it's accompanied by an experience. And reading those Christian mystics that really focus on that voice, I got to understand that there is an experience connected with that voice. Like we experience of peace and love and being received, being guided, being like that. So along that journey, like I encourage you, go for it, go for cancer. You know, who cares about ayahuasca? Who cares about LSD? Go for cancer.
I think most of us are doing it spontaneously.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, throughout that, there was clear landmark where I got that experience, even when things didn't make sense. Like I am a type of person who was clear from the beginning of my life. I will give a few examples that I will never set foot in America. I made a vow in my teen that Americans are bad. Those people are ruining the earth. They are contaminating the whole planet. They are the ones who are ruining all culture everywhere. That place is bad, is contaminated. I'm never going to set foot in America. You hear me? I was very clear. And so another thing I had is that if I have cancer ever, you know, in my mind, we all think of that because there is so much stigma about cancer. And it's true, it's scary. I face so much fear and it's still here. I'm not going to lie. I experience so much fear. And I can still tap into that fear. It's not completely gone. But mainly that fear just led me to deeper surrender. So I also embrace that fear as a gift and a friend. But another thing I told myself with my little Marie Glashine God project little Malini Devi God project, is that I'm a health conscious person. And first I'm intelligent, like Hiranyakashipu, you know, Hiranyakashipu. It was a big demon. He was a big demon, and he wanted to be eternal. So he did austerity, very, very like meditation, austerity for thousands of years. And he stand on one, you know, on two legs with his arm like that, thousands of years. You know, there's people like that in India. He did so heavy austerity, and the earth trembled because he was so powerful. And then the demigods, they were worried because he's accumulated so much power. Brahma, why don't you go there? Brahma is head of the demigods, so he goes there. And then Hiranyakashipu was thinking, he's very smart. He's going to outsmart death. He's going to outsmart death. And so he asked for Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma said, okay, you want a boon because you did a lot of austerity. I can give you a boon. And Hiranyakashipu said, yes, I want to be immortal. And Lord Brahma said, I live a long life, but I cannot bestow that upon you because I'm not even immortal. So I cannot do that. So Hiranyakashipu felt like, I got that. I'm very, very smart. I'm so smart that I'm going to get that. So he said like, I'm not going to be killed during the day or night. See, I'm smart. And then I'm not going to be killed by a weapon, or I'm not going to be killed by a beast or a human being. I'm not going to be killed on earth or in the sky. Anyway, you get the gist. The gist is that he felt so smart that he could counteract something that's part of the material context. So Marie Glashine, same. She ate so healthy, and she knew like if you take turmeric, cancer is never going to come to you. And Marie Glashine, she studied. She spent hours for the last 30 years studying about natural health. I know so much. Really, I think like if I take birth again, I probably will be a doctor because I accumulated so much knowledge about Ayurveda, herbs, you name it. I have so much knowledge, and I spend hours and hours. Every time I have an ailment, I can spend hours on the internet, and I'm fascinated, and I love naturopathy and natural health and all that. So of course, Marie Glashine will never get cancer. That's obvious, isn't it? And then if by chance, by misfortune, I guess, she was getting cancer, even then, she's going to do like Hiranyakashipu, outsmart it. And she's not going to do anything like chemo or radiation or go to the hospital. That's not who she is. Absolutely not. Never. She's never going to do that. I know Marie Glashine very well. That's not the type of thing she will ever do. She knows about health. She knows about, or probably if she gets cancer, it will be breast cancer. Everybody gets breast cancer. But, I have friends. They also overcame breast cancer with just natural thing. So that's what Marie Glashine is going to do. And then Marie Glashine, it's like Hiranyakashipu. He didn't get it. He didn't get it that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the most intelligent, is the smartest one. And he created the perfect cancer for her to feel so helpless and hopeless. The perfect, misdiagnosed so many times about this cancer. And then finding finally a doctor that she trusts, fully trusts. Finally, someone is capable of giving me my diagnostic, and I really like her, and I trust her. And then she said, nothing is going to heal you. You need chemo and radiation. What? No way. And the interesting thing about that And that voice came, yes, that's what you're supposed to do. No. Yes, that's what you're supposed to do. Okay. And then peace. Peace came. It's really very inconceivable for me that I came to a place of peace with that one. And it's reality, because that voice was telling me something and was purifying me, my little God project. And then along the way, there was a few other times like that. So I'm recognizing that voice tells us to do things that usually is very, very difficult to do. That voice tells us to do things that usually is against the flow of social convention even. That voice telling us to do things that will not make us popular necessarily. And that voice is always there, loving us, guiding us. And that voice is available for through meditation. Through meditation, like the transcendentalist meditate, first you get that sense of oneness, one with everything, like really feeling like, wow. I had that on LSD mainly, not so much in meditation, but really feeling like, wow, the sky and everything, like, ooh, I'm one with everything. And then if the transcendentalist is very serious, then the yogi come, like the yogic aspect of transcendence come to be in contact with Paramatma, the Lord in the heart. And then continuing further, if the transcendentalist is very serious, and after many maybe lifetimes of meditation, because it's so troublesome, then the transcendentalist gets the download of revelation of the Lord with his activities. And then the transcendentalist gets really amazed by what he sees, what he hears, what he witnesses, what he's in contact with, being in contact with varieties. Because the oneness is very beautiful, but there is no varieties and there is no real bliss there. It says that like in a material world, there is very little scope for happiness. I was thinking about it like during my hellish experience. What the potential for pain in this body is unlimited. Every quarter, millimeter, quarter? How do you say that? Anyway, inch, quarter, inch. Square millimeter of our body have the potential to give us unlimited amount of pain. So much pain in this body. There is so much potential for pain in this body. And there is nothing any one of us can do about that. That's just the way, the context we are in. And if we take the same, like let's say this point here, what's the potential for happiness here in that little point on my shoulder? Some. It's not like there is none, but not much. And I've been meditating on my life with what I look at my life with honesty lately, a lot of honesty. And if I look at really the amount of happiness that have been there, it's very little. And if I look at the amount of either mental agony, often most of my problems and suffering have been self-created, but still it was pain. It was frustration, anger, fear, guilt, shame, all of them. And it was mostly was self-created. It wasn't, because of cancer or something like Prabhupada said, well, the only problem is birth, death, old age, disease. And most of us, we are facing so many other problems than those four. But recently I have more realization about that there is only those four, that, the rest is, okay, I'm creating problem with my own mind. I'm creating reality that doesn't exist with other people, with the world, with like there is big demons coming to attack us, and they will put nano things in our blood. And even when they test us, they put nano particle inside our brain. So it's just like, we do that all the time, about him or about her, about people, like thinking that they think like that about me, or they do what they do because I know their motivation. So much suffering. And I look at my life and it was full of suffering, self-created suffering, but still suffering, many suffering. So the potential in this body for suffering is unlimited. And at the same time, the nature of the soul is Sat Chit Ananda. So in a Brahman realization, we get the Sat. We get the Sat realization. We get to Sat mean existence. We get to really experience I'm existing. I'm existing even if someone cut my arm and legs, take everything away from me, I'm still existing. And yeah, when I was going through that hell, I was miserable and I was fighting it and I wanted to die. But I had a sense of existence because I wanted to die and my body wanted to die. And still, with the help of my roommate, Narayan, like being in the front line for him, and Eze, like witnessing so much suffering, and it was really difficult for all of us. Still, even so I wanted to die, and even so my body didn't want to eat, didn't want to drink, and didn't want to move, so my body wanted to die too. There was something in me that was alive, and that led me to drink, when drinking was bringing the highest level of nausea. It was so disgusting to drink. And to eat when I was disgusted by food, like food was, I don't want to eat. I have to do that 3 times a day. I don't want to eat. And they were so nice. They were asking me, what do you want to eat? And I will tell Narayan, I want whatever, mashed potato and whatever, or broccoli. And then they will make with love and devotion. They wanted to help Malini, and they were so loving. And Narayan would bring the plate in front of me, and I would say, yuck, why did you make that for me? Well, anyway, we have a caveat for that. It's like, this is an ashram to train husbands. So they are well trained here. They are well trained. They are trained to know that whatever happened, they are wrong. That they are trained that when their women are pregnant, they are going to hate everything they cook. So it was part of the training, really. It's husband training ashram. Anyway, I lost my track of thought. But anyway, Lord Brahma and Hiranyakashipu and Paramatma realization, yeah. And then Sat, the Sat is existence, that we exist. So I felt that existence, that there was something in me, even though my body wanted to die, my mind wanted me to die. There was something deeper that knew that it was not time. And I knew it wasn't time to die. And I believe that probably when it's time to die, if we tuned in we know when it's time. So existence, Sat, it's a Sat, that's our nature. Existence, eternity, sometimes it's said. And that's realized by the oneness. And then the other quality of the soul is Chit. Chit potency means knowledge. And that's realized through Paramatma. Like Paramatma give us all the knowledge, even how to deal with our day-to-day life. The books that I unfortunately finished was a French book about a French hermit living in the mountains of the south of Alps in a cave. A woman, 25 years, she lived there with no water, no electricity, on her own, at the top of the mountains, with like winter, with like snow and everything, just a little cabin where she had a little heater, but she could only put small branches in it, so it will not last long. So she's a Carmelite. She's still here. She's still on Earth. So, she spent 25 years without ever going anywhere. But now she has 2 hermitages. So she spent half the time still there in the Alps. And she, as a Carmelites do a lot of contemplation. Their life is of silence. Carmelite life is a life of contemplation and silence. Even in a convent, Carmelite convent, they spend 1 hour speaking a day. I wish, like we sometimes are lucky enough to spend 1 hour silence, but they spend 1 hour speaking, the Carmelite. So she's in that lineage, and of course she was alone, so most of the time she was silent. And she will also do a sit like Jeremy does. And in those sits, she will like allow herself to cool down her mind and cool down, like she have different ways she's doing that to hear super soul. And she explaining that, every day there was so many tasks for her to fetch, wood, to go down to the river, to get her water, to fix. There was always things that were broken because of the weather. So many things that she was doing by herself, and she explained how she will not do anything. Even so, she had a long list. She will not do anything without first getting confirmation, without first being guided. Like, okay, here is the order of things today. And so Paramatma is with us, giving us knowledge, and even knowledge in our day-to-day life, guiding the wandering of the living entities. And we get that knowledge through meditation. The transcendentalists come to that place of hearing inside. Yes, and I think, Jeremy, you have been experiencing things like that you describe, like maybe a God or a sense of someone or something happening after so many years and strict meditation. And that guidance is there, and even that guidance in a minutest aspect of our life, like in a minutest aspect of cancer treatment. For example, I know I had clear point, and I know that voice was so against me and against what was supposed to happen, like stopping the treatment. So scary things to do. That was same thing. It was clear. I was supposed to do it. And I was with dear Govinda sharing that day, 2 weeks before I stopped. I won't go stop in 2 weeks. It's not like I stopped from one day to another. I was clear. And even so, I was receiving so many voices, like, it's crazy to do that. You shouldn't do that. Oh, my doctor, well, it's not a good idea. Inside me, there was that conviction, like very conviction about it. And it didn't make sense. And often the voice that we hear inside from God, Paramatma, doesn't make sense because our mind have only a limited aspect, ability to make sense anyway. Can we make sense of anything? No, we cannot make sense of the coronavirus. We cannot make sense of children dying in hospitals right now. We cannot with our own ability. But then with the help of Super Soul, we can. With the help of the Srimad Bhagavatam, with the help of the descending knowledge through the disciplic succession. So I'm going to check the time because I didn't speak about anything I wanted to speak about. That's happened to me. And so here we hear about Narayana Muni. And Narayana Muni is glorifying his student, Vyasadeva. He's saying, wow, you're so clean, you're so you have done so much austerity. You plus Vyasadeva, he was so dutiful. He did everything that he knew how to do. He was a compiler of the Veda. So he compiled the Veda, he compiled the Purana, he compiled the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, all that. He did his duty. He was very dutiful. He was working diligently to what he's supposed to do. But he was not satisfied. He was despondent. He was really not satisfied in his heart. There was something not there, not fully satisfied in his heart. And then at that moment, the Guru came. Narada Muni came and he could see, you're not satisfied. What's up with you? But in fact, Narada Muni could see, I know exactly the reason. And Vyasadeva said, please tell me what's the reason. I have done so much. I've done so much meditation. I've done so much work. Tell me the reason. And then Narada Muni said, because you haven't glorified the Lord enough. And by the glorification of the Lord. And then Narada Muni tell Vyasadeva, put your meditation on the activities of the Lord. By putting your meditation on the activities of the Lord, then your presence is going to others. And your writing is going to transform. And that's where the Bhagavatam took life. Like the Bhagavatam is expansion of the Vedanta Sutra. It's like Vyasadeva doing commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. And through the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's said in a same chapter of the Bhagavatam about the story of Vyasadeva hearing from Narada Muni that he will bring about a revolution in the consciousness of the people of this Kali Yuga. By reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we can get that revolution that can lead us to understand life, to understand why I get cancer, and why cancer is a friend, it's not an enemy for me, and I know for everybody else too. And to get all the knowledge to understand the material energy, which is also a spiritual energy, because they all come from God. Nothing is separated from God. That's what what Brahma is instructed to Narada, and what Krishna is instructed to Brahma is that it is a source of everything. All the material world is a source of the spiritual world. Everything comes. Or so much intelligence, even like looking at nature, looking at a plant, looking at a flower, looking at a variety. I see birds a lot lately, and I'm looking at birds, and so much fascination there in watching birds. So there is an intelligence behind that. If there is no intelligence, then why we think there is a need of intelligence to create cars or to create a city? There is a computer. A computer, there is intelligence behind a computer, but behind, like the whole atmosphere with oxygen and lungs that breathe oxygen and water, there is nobody behind that. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make logical sense, let's say. It's just logical sense. And then at the end of the purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks about how Maya, illusion, because we are illusion, that's what's happening to us. We don't see, our eyes don't see the reality as it is. The reality of the goodness, the reality of the benevolence, the reality of the purpose of this context, the reality of what life is about. We don't see because we're in illusion. We're in our little God project, and that creates so much illusion, thinking that we are in control, which is quite madness if we think about it. We think we are in control. It's just like, I don't know what that. And so the energy, and it describes that the sun is covered by cloud. Yes, the sun is covered by cloud. But who is the source of the cloud? The source of the cloud is the sun. The sun shining on water evaporates the water, which creates cloud. So similarly, the source of the illusory material energy of Maya is Krishna. And Krishna, he put a cloud of illusion and ignorance on us when we desire to have our little God project, when we desire to be independent or know better or outsmart. I'm going to outsmart the system. That's really me. I always want to outsmart any system. But we are not going to outsmart Krishna's system, because Krishna is a source of our intelligence. So and is a source of Maya. So we are not going to outsmart Krishna's. The only way to outsmart the system is to agree to the system, to be in that constitutional position of Satchit Ananda, to understand that we are part and parcel of Krishna. And our constitutional position is to serve with love and devotion, bhakti yoga, the yoga of love. And through the yoga of love, then the transcendentalist doesn't need to go through all those stages of like meditating, and maybe after many lifetimes, I have an understanding of I'm not this body and spirit and matter, or after many, many years of a heavy practice, troublesome, difficult practice, or Paramatma, through the process of bhakti yoga. Through the process of bhakti yoga, sometimes it's described like it's like an elevator. It goes through, it gives us directly access to all that. Not necessarily that we are, like there is transcendentalists that maybe way more realize than a practitioner of bhakti yoga about the oneness and about like spirit, not matter, and all that. And transcendentalists that are way more advanced than the bhakti yogi about hearing the super soul. Not like that. However, anyone who takes seriously to the process of bhakti yoga, they get to go faster to that ultimate goal anyway, which is love. Love of God is the goal of every process. That's where every process is going to land somehow or other, sooner or later. However, there is so many chances of getting diverted by, if we are not careful, we can be diverted, and then we lose track of our practice, or we lose track of the goal of human life and the purpose of this cosmic manifestation. So even so, I didn't speak about Narada Muni so much, or everything else I wanted to speak about. Time is going, so I'm going to stop here. And I'm going to repeat the verse. Narada prahamunaye sarasvatyash tate nipa dhyayate brahmam paramam vyasaya mitate jase. In succession, O king, the great sage Narada instructed Srimad Bhagavatam unto the unlimitedly powerful Vyasadeva, who meditated in devotional service upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, on the bank of the river Saraswati. Hare Krishna. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And I'm looking forward to any comments, discussion, realization, question, challenges, whatever is going on for you now. I'm eager to hear your sharing. Yes.
Well, I really appreciate your class, Malini, and I want to say that, like you were speaking about Paramatma, and I was so much thinking about Paramatma today morning, because we had like Sunday morning program in person for 2 months, and like we had like maybe not up to people, but like all of them, maybe 3 months. And then yesterday evening, because the coronavirus is spreading a lot, we decided this is going to be last in-person program. Even though coronavirus disease probably would give like so much self-realization.
Exactly.
And she feels like really bad of it. But like and myself, we are like a pure materialists. So we decided this is going to be our last like in-person morning program to protect Malini. And then today we didn't expect anyone except Govinda today.
Sorry.
We are very happy to see you. And tomorrow morning I was thinking like Paramatma told them this is the last chance. Go to see Malini. I was thinking that like I don't know what was happening for you, but I was thinking like just like we shall have like clear guidance from within that this is the time to come. So yeah, thank you for being here. Yeah, happy to see you the last time.
For now.
For now. Yeah.
Hi, Krishna. Malini. Oops, hold on. Good to see you.
I'm really connecting with many things in your class, but one thing that's standing out right now is just like how loved you are, like how much Krishna loves you. I think that like I've really connected with that during the process, but I'm really it's really sinking in just like how much Krishna has taken care of you, and really just listen to your prayers and guided you, and I'm just in awe of it, and I experience you as just so like effulgent and with so much potency and so much deeper realization, and I feel so fortunate to be in your presence, like to be witnessing, to be hearing, because even though I'm not having the same realization as you, like I feel like I'm learning so much from your experience. And at least they're like seeds that are like being planted inside my heart, that I feel like it's just like, wow, I'm feeling so blessed, like to just to be here with you, to be here on this journey with you, to hear these incredibly profound realizations, and this all this love that's been surrounding you, and so yeah, that's one thing I wanted to share. And then another thing is that I've heard you talk about the hermits in France, and I haven't really had very much attraction myself for that when you talked about it, but today I all of a sudden had this moment of feeling like, wow, yeah, I actually, because I'm feeling just so bogged down by the noise that's happening. There's so much noise, and it's so heavy and distracting. And it's really taking me further away from Paramatma and from hearing my inner guidance. And I feel like, wow, this is just, it feels like more and more noise. It feels like it's just increasing threefold, and I'm just like, so. And there's this part of me that's like, okay, I'm ready to go to the mountains. I'm ready to go. I'm ready, because this is just, but I don't need to go to the mountains. And yeah, I think I'm just getting more clarity about some more things I need to do to take care of myself, and so that I can, again, listen more clearly, because I think that my fear has really just pulled me into just this big distraction from what's the truth, what's real, what's true, and so yeah, thank you for helping me to come to listen, to be here, to listen. Well, and to connect with what I need to do.
Yeah, it seems that you are connecting with super soul. And then you're getting guided that, yeah, I want to stop the noise. I want to find my way of creating my cave. Not that I'm going to, leave my family, leave my children, leave my practice, but I'm going to, I know there is things I can do, because we always know there is things I can do, things that are in my power right now with my context to create that space to hear the super soul. And then, of course, the mind says, oh, well, it's so tiring, whatever. The mind kind of, like the fact that Maya is illusion and throw us in illusion and keep us there, that there is opposing energy coming and preventing us to do what we know we can do, besides going to the mountains when to stop those noise. So I'm hearing right now you're really connected with knowing of what you can do to change and create a different experience for you within your context, within whatever is scary in your life, in order to hear more guidance and feeling the shelter of the material energy, like the kitten. We take that example a lot, like the material energy for materialists, for someone who just think I'm in control and everything will happen because of my strengths, because I will tackle that problem and I'm going to tackle this one and I'm going to create that. Then in a sense, in that frame of mind, life is very scary. And it's scary like the mouth of the mama cat from the point of view of a rat. It's like terrifying because I know I'm not in control, but Krishna will give me enough conviction. Krishna will give me enough conviction that I am. Krishna fulfill our desire. If I want to find conviction and be know that my philosophy of life is a right philosophy of life, Krishna will say, yes, here is proof that you're correct. Here you could prove and more proof that you're correct. Until one day we realize, it didn't work. And sometimes we don't have the honesty to even look at that. Because truthfulness is the last leg of origin. It takes a lot of honesty and truthfulness. And so you have that sense of like, okay, my fear are coming from wanting to control, wanting to be the one who fixes. And then so much fear comes, and it's like, oh my God, it's terrifying. The material energy is terrifying. Anything can come anytime. Ants, flood, water breaking, living in the camper. Oh, it's terrible. And then the other, part is like, yeah, I'm going to really take care of what I know is essential for my spiritual life. I know it's essential to heal the super soul. And then the same material context is seen, like the jaw of the mama cat from the point of view of the kitten. Like, yeah, it's okay, I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to do what I need to do to be responsible, considering that context is not about conviction, it's not about politics, it's not about right and wrong. It's about knowing my service, knowing what I'm supposed to do, being responsible. And then that's it. That's all I can do. I can be responsible. It doesn't mean I'm not going to die from the coronavirus or need oxygen in the hospital. There's no way to know that. Sorry. But that's just like that. And then yes, I'm responsible. I do what's in my power to do. And the rest is not up to me. And then I'm sheltered, and mommy cat is coming and with her big jaw, and I'm like, energy. Thank you. So loving energy of Krishna.
Yes.
You're so loving me so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I really have seen, I've experienced you, like, I've learned, I've been watching you, learning this from you, this very thing you're talking about. Like, doing everything you can and being responsible, showing up, and then, okay, Krishna, do, it's up, this, whatever happens, it's in your hands. And yes, thank you. I wanted to share just one more thing, and that is a patient of mine told me this story about.
People online, are you really worrying me? I'm just worried.
Yes.
Okay, good.
A patient of mine recently came in, and she was telling me that I think it was in Kentucky where she's from, that that people were going around house to house to make sure everyone got vaccinated. So like people were going to people's homes, and I guess they went out somewhere in the country in Kentucky, and they knocked on this person's door, and the person answered and said, "Hi, we're here. We're making sure everyone's vaccinated for the coronavirus." And the man said, "Coronavirus? What's that?" And we just, I don't know, it's just, and actually, I think about it, this man, I don't know who he is, but he comes to my mind, he has come to my mind, and I think, that's bliss right there. That's bliss right now.
Ignorance is bliss.
It's like he has no idea about the coronavirus, and nor does he's not being affected. It's not affecting him. He's going about his life. He probably won't get it. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that because it's actually been helpful to me to think about this man.
To think about this man, yeah. Because we can see, like, to the degree that we inform ourselves to try to control. I'm going to get that by research on internet. Then to that degree, it's increasing anxiety. The more we know, the more anxiety. Whoa, what's happening in that country? Or this article says people who are in the hospital are all vaccinated. This article says people who are in the hospital are all not vaccinated. Whoa, what do I do? Thank you, Rory. I appreciate that. Yeah, you are being, part of Krishna's plan, and it's been amazing, the transition from the Western medicine to like really being anxiety trying to control. I felt that in that period, like I was transitioning out of Western medicine, and then like I had a group of people making research for like a cancer clinic somewhere in the world, and which cancer clinic I will go to, and I was so agony, like the agony I felt and fear, like what if I make the wrong decision, or what I go to the wrong place, what if they don't know, and I don't want that immunotherapy thing, this sounds demoniac or whatever, and I felt so much fear, and then you tell me, just give me a treatment, and then all of a sudden, it became so clear. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay here, and Roy is going to be my doctor. And then I became so peaceful, and I have been since. Yeah. And I'm not saying like 100%. There is moments where something comes, but maybe not. Yeah. And then you and I will be on that journey since May. Yeah. Yeah, like the second team, like there's compassion fatigue. You have the first team, like right in front when there is a war. It's like Naya in the front line, and then Easy, and then the commander of the angel, and so many angels around. And I appreciate. So I received so much love from our community, so much support. It's something unbelievable. Krishna manifested his love in a way I felt it inside. And also Krishna manifested his love in a way that I really felt it from outside. And that's something so like doing, everyone, like so much people praying, people, sending medicine, people helping in so many ways. And And the prayers, I know the prayers are very, very powerful. And then we can, yeah, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear Govinda.
Thank you, Malini, for being inspiring. Thank you, everyone, for your association. I'm hosting programs at my home the next 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Be glad to see you there. Bring your friends. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna for being here. Yeah, Brian.
Class is essentially about surrender, and I'm writing a paper on surrender, basically, dissertation. I was speaking with my therapist yesterday, and he said something that helped me have this realization that surrender isn't something we do, it's something that happens to us when we're in front of greater beings or circumstances. That was really powerful for me. That, like, in a sense, we can choose surrender, but really it just happens when we're face to face with truly greater beings or circumstances. And in life, like our Western life is designed to be so distracting that there's no like real opportunity to come face to face with that greater being. Like we don't create that opportunity to get quiet and meet that greater being Paramatma inside. And like we're either forced to surrender through like greater circumstances like cancer or climate change, or we can come face to face with that greater being and then naturally have this experience of surrender. So I was thinking about that, and just that it seems that it's only that subjective experience of, like, we can hear from the disciplic succession all of these teachings, but that ultimately it's only through our own like personal experience coming into contact with that greater being that we can be inspired to surrender. So I appreciated how you were talking about Paramatma, because I think of devotion and surrender as like this multi-dimensional experience where we hear from the Father and through the succession, we hear through the Spirit. And then you talked about like the transcendentalists. I think of like the rishis studying the nature of material reality, and then from that having direct realizations. So I just really appreciate this more. Like you were almost talking about Bhakti Yoga and the transcendentalist path as like distinct, but I really appreciate the idea of everything being interwoven, with Bhakti being like the foundation for all of it. So we have like the experience of studying the stars and the moon and the way that nature works, and have like a mature subjective understanding of truth through that, along with listening to Paramatma inside, along with receiving the information from the disciplic succession, that it's not like just one or the other, because if we just hear from the Father without that mature subjective experience, then our realization can be hollow and immature or insecure. But if we just hear from looking at nature, it can take a long time. And if we just listen to Paramatma, our senses are imperfect. So we need that disciplic succession too. So I just appreciate this multi-dimensional way of coming into contact with absolute truth. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you for your sharing.
May I say one thing? I know it's already past.
Yes, Narayan.
I'll share my appreciations for you personally in person later. One thing that came was around the importance of the daily practice, daily sadhana. When you were sharing around, having clarity, having a deep sense of knowing, around these scary decisions and all these doubts, and suddenly being really clear. I was thinking how often that happens in my life, and in this conversation, you've touched on topics of, substances, psychedelia, meditation, different things that in my own experience have created like these peak experiences and definitely realization. And yet I see how, like, for example, to use your direct example, you know, I had so many fears, I had so many doubts, and of course those were influencing you in a way, you know, subtly, and yet because, you know, you were tuning in to your intuition, to Paramatma, and like continuing in your sadhana, my sense is you were able to follow through on that realization. And I see that, you know, I'm inspired by that because I see so much I don't allow myself to follow through fully on my realizations, if I ever have at all. And I think it's because, you know, we can all have tastes of deep realizations of so many beautiful things of God, and in so many different contexts we're being given that. Yet without that anchor of the daily sadhana, we'll always be swayed by other people's opinions, by material nature, by our fears. And so I'm very encouraged in your sharing to just really like recommit to my vows, my sadhana, that the power that comes from that, the steadiness and the trust and ability to, you know, act on those realizations and deepen them.
Thank you. Yeah, I know it was scary for you. I apologize for that. Yeah, you wanted to care for me, and, you know, like stopping what the doctor was saying was the best for me. Like, what are you doing? You crazy? And it was so scary for you. Yeah, and yeah, by Krishna's mercy, I was, you know, like even when I was in hell. And it's interesting because one of the last class, maybe the last class or the class before, in a purport, there was something about even the inhabitants of hell, if they chant the holy name, they are going to be taken to heaven. And in a sense, I got that experience. I felt so much hell and fear and confusion and nausea, and it was just so much. And at the same time, by Krishna's mercy, and I don't know how it's happened, but it's happened. I was chanting every single day. And, you know, most of the time, even during that period, I was chanting more than even the number of rounds that I vowed to do at initiation. And yeah, I didn't look at it like that, but I can see that sadhana that was given to me, because I don't think it was coming from me, but that did happen, was conducive for hearing that voice by the steadiness of my practice that I've been there for 35 years. Then I was able to have that conviction. And yeah, it was difficult to be convinced in front of you when you were not. And so I appreciate it because it gave me more realization. And thank you, Narayan, for all that you did, like coming to hell with me. Yeah, being in the front line. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Entourage Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Gol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Pampa. I hope you have a good night.
Hare Krishna.
Hey, Hare Krishna, Nalini.
Haribol, Nalini.
Hare Krishna, Gajendra. Hare Krishna. Is that Subal?
Yes.
That's a funny voice. Hi, Bol.
To go.